Coming up on STO Nation. Keith, you mentioned that you dropped your deposit because of that. Do you have anything to add?
My mine was more the long wait was the main reason why. The other the other part that bothered me was I don't know how we can get on a waiting list and then people pop up and get it quick. It doesn't make sense to me. And the communication I found was pretty much nothing. If you want something, you gotta call, you gotta call, you gotta keep calling. They don't bother calling you. And I guess that's supply and demand. If they got 100 people deep.
Welcome to another episode of STO Nation, a production of Park Media. Before I introduce today's guest, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, share, and leave a 5-star review. And if you find this podcast useful in any way and want to pay us the ultimate compliment, head on over to our Patreon page where you can subscribe to be a Classic, Stealth, or Beast Mode subscriber. Welcome back, STO Nation. I am super excited for this episode in which I call STO Nation Happy Hour. The concept of this is for a bunch of us to get together and talk all things Storyteller with our favorite adult beverages in hand, thus Happy Hour. For the very first Happy Hour, the guest list includes Wendell Iverson, Krueger, Sarah Cheney, Keith Souza, and Rich and Zoe Coulcher. The topics we talk about were why Keith decided to pull his deposit on a classic, how we use our toilets, our suspension and other upgrades that we've done and want, how the STO compares to different brands, and also Wendell talks more in detail about his meetup in May. So please sit back, relax with your favorite adult beverage, and enjoy the show. Well, welcome everyone to the very first Happy Hour from STO Nation. This is something that I've been wanting to do for quite some time, and the way that I kind of envision it is, even though it's virtual, if you kind of put, in your mind, you envision us around a campfire, just like talking about Storyteller stuff, or like if we're at a meetup and we just talk naturally. That's kind of how I envision it, and so there's no really big rules, but I'd like to start off with introducing each one of you, or have you introduce yourself, and then we'll kind of just go from there. So, Keith, you want to lead us
Sure.
off?
My name is Keith. I currently live in Hawaii. I plan on relocating stateside somewhere in the West. Status for a van, I had a deposit down on a STO. Chose to pull out. I just can't wait 24 months. So right now I'm probably I'm gonna push hard for the used market. And if I can't get what I want used, I might have to step to a different manufacturer.
And what are you drinking, Keith?
Oh, what am I drinking? I got water straight from the tap.
Nice.
But that's a special water, I think, in Hawaii, right?
Yeah, Hawaiian water.
Wendell, you want to go next?
Sure. My name's Wendell Iverson. I live in Telluride, Colorado. Last Tuesday, I had my 1-year van anniversary. So we
congratulations.
have a 2021 Stealth. And I am drinking hard kombucha.
Nice. And then Rich and Zoe, you want to go next?
Yeah, sure. Rich and Zoe Coulcher, we're in Orlando, Florida. We have a deposit down on a 2022 Stealth, which we're hoping comes anywhere between March and May. We put it down in April last year, so we're kind of well in the curve. We're currently in actually a 2020 Winnebago Travato. So we actually have the Volta system on that. So that was one of the big reasons for looking at Storyteller and the system they have there. And I'm drinking a Negroni, and Zoe's drinking a Boulevardier.
Nice.
Cheers.
Cheers, everyone.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Kurt, you want to go next?
Yeah, sure. My name is Kurt Kreuger. I live just outside of Baltimore, Maryland. Moved around a fair bit, traveled out west and also up and down the East Coast. I have a 21 Classic that I took ownership of in late October. I've been enjoying it since then. I am drinking something I discovered at a Harvest Host, which is this Medusa mead. It's fantastic. Really enjoy that. Yeah, I think that's what you wondered from us. So, any questions on any of that, guys?
Nope. And then last but not least,
Sarah, hi. Nice to meet everyone. My name is Sarah. I live in California in the Bay Area. I am about to take delivery of my Stealth in a week or so. I've got the VIN number, and we're just waiting on the build out, and then it heads to the dealer. For those of you who got discouraged with long waits, I called a lot of dealers and made a lot of noise, and it looks like I'll be able to get one much quicker than 2 years. So I would say hang in there and make lots of phone calls and make lots of friends where you can. I've seen a lot of places where people back out at the last minute, and a dealer just wants to unload it quickly. So if you happen to be the person who's there, that's sometimes how you get a hold of a van more quickly. So I'm really looking forward to hitting the road with my pups and my kids, and meeting the community as well.
nice.
Very nice.
Can't wait to actually meet everyone in person.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
to add on to what Sarah was just saying, I had a similar experience. I only waited about 6 weeks to get my van by the time we put a deposit down. So and it was a similar fluke. I was looking for a Model T. I got on the phone to a dealer, and they're like, "Hey, we happen to have one of these available much sooner." So I'm like, "Oh, Mode Classic, LT." And of course, as it's turned out since then, it was a good decision to jump on the 21 mode.
Yeah, there's a large. I think they're putting deposits down on 2023s, and there's rumors that the price is going to hike up in 23 as well. So, I mean, I know Keith, you mentioned that you dropped your deposit because of that. Do you have anything to add?
Mine was more the long wait was the main reason why. The other part that bothered me was I don't know how we can get on a waiting list and then people pop up and get it quick. It doesn't make sense to me. And the communication I found was pretty much nothing. If you want something, you got to call, you got to keep calling. They don't bother calling you. And I guess that's supply and demand. If they got 100 people deep, they don't need to call the people. They just get rid of it.
Yeah, I know people try to cut in line. I'm sure there's like a list of, standbys and stuff like that. I'm not really sure because I'm sure every company out there has a different, I guess, method or policy or something like that. And I'm sure it's not all fair. But yeah, I don't know if you guys have experience with that or not, but
I did call, I can't remember, it was in Oregon, and I talked to the salesperson there, and I told her, I said, if anybody drops out, call me. I can get on a plane within a day, and I can pay for it right there. So I'll try and call a couple other places, but I'm not going to wait 24 months.
A recommendation we'd have is call Warner Vans in
I
Salt
think I
Lake
did
City.
call them. Do you have somebody there?
We Kelly Jo Castleberry.
Okay.
yeah, KJ will help you out as much as she can.
So we rented a van from them. We went out to Overland West. And so we rented a Sprinter van. We were trying to rent a Storyteller, but they were unfortunately all taken. So we took another build and then drove down to Flagstaff and then drove back. So that was our first time, because we're in the Travato. We hadn't really driven Sprinter before. So that was our first kind of long trip in the Mercedes, which is like day and night versus the ProMaster. So it's, as you can imagine, but we dealt with them and it was fantastic.
We had already placed our order, so it's it's the local La Mesa here that we had dealt with for the Travato, and so we have a good relationship with them, and so we feel confident that it'll come. It's just we're waiting it out.
Yeah.
But our salesperson's been great, and he's
Yeah, we actually saw him just a couple weeks ago at the big RV show here in Tampa. So along with all the Storyteller folks, so it's we're fingers crossed
Yeah,
that it's like
and we have the
somewhere in the
Travato. I
yeah.
mean, we know that there's been issues in their supply chain, and so it's not for us is we want it sooner than later, but we're not selling the Travato until the Storyteller's in hand.
I think that's smart. Yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
Yeah.
you won't have an
bird in the
RV.
hand or something like that. As they, yeah.
Are you?
And I will say, from what we've heard of not just storytellers, but kind of the RV industry in general, is not necessarily the best in any kind of communications. There's horror stories in every platform. It just, it's unfortunate, but I will say we saw a lot of other Sprinter vans.
A lot.
Every company out there is trying to do a 144 Sprinter now in some sort of off-road system, and the quality is just not a Storyteller. I mean, we saw a lot of them.
I was going to say, I thought I saw some postings from you that you were just in the Tampa RV show and had a chance to look at a lot of vans there.
Yeah, we're vendors. We sell our products at some of these shows, so we were there for that as well. But during Industry Day, we got a chance to kind of walk around, look at everything that's out there. But Tiffin, I thought, was going to be very promising because of Tiffin in their name, and they actually have the Volta system on board. But it's just. That's not.
If you watch Chad and Paul's video, you kind of get a interesting perception from them.
We had a lot of the same takes that they did on there.
What was it exactly? I mean, not to bash him, but what was it exactly that?
It's like the cabinet quality, the the layout is a little. It's more interesting to me. It's more interesting than a Revel. I mean, we did look at the Revel at one point in time, but we didn't like the kind of how that's all. Feels very cramped. You got the bed that goes up and down, and the kind of
the bathroom.
I had the
system
Revel before the Storyteller.
This kind
Go
of
with Storyteller. Big
yeah. So this is I think it's the
Cahaba?
Tiffin Cahaba, and it's more open than the Revel because it doesn't have the bed that raises up and down, but it really doesn't have a big garage area because it's got kind of two bench seats in the back that become the bed. So you don't really have that storage. But then again, it's just the build quality is just not.
I think it's like the cabinets. The cabinets, I think, are the biggest thing, and even that's kind of how we felt like in the Revel. I think we're lucky. Our Travato actually, because it's a couple years older, actually our cabinets are really nice, but unfortunately, that's not holding true with every other brand out there.
Our Revel, we would have to turn up the radio.
What was the Revel, Wendell? What was your
sounds that we had? Yeah. It was a loud van to drive. So.
I also had a chance to look at the Tiffin unit that you guys are speaking of at the Hershey show in Pennsylvania, and I had a similar sort of experience with that. It was like kind of a near miss in my mind. And one of the things I didn't really like about it, which Chad and Paul also mentioned, is that the co-joined black and gray tank. So you have, in my mind, kind of like all the worst parts of both of those systems, meaning you've got to find a place specific to dump it, which if you've traveled much in your RV, as I know many of you have, that could be a real issue. So yeah, that in addition to the cabinet quality, I would say the plumbing system and specifically the gray black tank was an issue for me on that one.
Yeah, they call it a gray black tank.
A black tank, yeah, for sure. anyone that's enforcing anything is not going to look at it as a gray tank.
No. It's funny because I had a Travato before the Storyteller, and so I don't miss the black tank at all. I don't know about you, Rich and Zoe, if you'll miss it, but I don't miss it at all. So
that's probably our biggest.
Well, it's my biggest
point of conversation,
probably.
and we've had it with several other Storyteller owners on kind of the whole toilet situation and what can you do, other options are out there. So but it's amazing that we talked to someone we did the Adventure Van Expo in Chattanooga. And we must have talked to someone for like an hour and a half.
She just was
willing,
toilets. Willing to talk about her toilet and what she chose, and she has the wrap on. So
well, Wendell and Kurt, what do you guys do?
As far as toilets,
since you're a couple and you travel,
I'll let you go first, Wendell. We haven't heard much from you so far.
We actually ditched the Dometic cassette toilet, and we just we when we were at the the Overland Expo in Flagstaff, we bought one of the, you probably saw them, the Australian Thunderbox or whatever, and folds up flat. You've got the bags with all the compost and stuff in it, and we've just been using that, and it's been fine, and it's easy and low maintenance, and you're not tugging a cassette around everywhere.
I looked at that same toilet, Wendell, and I was like, not that I thought there was anything wrong with it. It's just it's a very, very rudimentary sort of design, and not that the cassette toilet that I have is functionally any better. I just was kind of scratching my head about that, and it's interesting to hear that you prefer it. So to add on to what you were saying, I use the standard toilet right now. We basically use it as designed for liquids, and for solids we use a bag from, I guess it's Clean Waste, if I remember correctly. So that's what we've been doing, and again, we're not using it as a primary first choice for facilities. If we can find something in a campground or somewhere else, then we're using something else as a first choice, and that would be our backup.
And that's like us. It's kind of like, if it's the last resort, we pull it out and use it. So,
are you just worried about privacy, or is it just, I don't know. I don't want to pry too much, but I know that.
No. So like when we rented the Sprinter out west, it didn't, because of just protocol. It didn't come with any kind of toilet. So Rich ordered a little Dometic on Amazon and had it shipped there. And so the only thing I felt like was like it was unstable, because it didn't have a home in that van, and it was like a little
kind of sliding around the floor.
So it probably would be different because it would be in the shower pan, on the Storyteller. But in that one, it was
going
like
for a
I thought
ride
it was
when you're not trying to.
Yeah, right.
Oh man. Oh, okay. Because
Younghwa, you had the Laveo at one point, right?
It was other than the price, it was pretty spendy. To include the cartridges. What ended up happening is I ended up selling it. So the first thing with the Laveo is that you have to put like some type of poo powder, like what comes in the Clean Waste, the powder thing that gels the liquid. You have to have that. But it was kind of cool because it was like space-like in regards to like when it twisted around and it was just like, and like it puffed up and then it went back down. But the actual mechanics of it was really cool. But because I was full-time, having those cartridges with me was such a pain in the butt because they're like really large. And so you could really only buy like 3 at a time. And because I'm full-time on the road, I didn't really know where I was going. And because it was a supply issue, like I had no idea when I would be able to get something shipped to me. And so when I did buy something, like I had to buy like 9 cartridges at a time. But that took both of my Owl boxes that I have, and then plus like additional storage in the back. It just was too much for me. And so I just decided to sell it, and now I just use kind of a poor man's plastic bag thing. So I basically have like plastic bags. I double, what do you call it? I double secure them, and then I use the poo powder or whatever, and then I just, when I get done, I just tie it up and throw it away. So, but that's basically what I do. But, I think like a lot of you guys said, I use it when I have to. A lot of times I'm driving, and so I'll just stop at a gas station. It's kind of like the shower. I only use it when I absolutely need to. So, but yeah, so that's what I use.
So one of the things I thought about concerning the toilet, I thought originally I've looked at vans for like more than a decade, and I really was convinced that I needed an enclosed bathroom and a plumb toilet and all that, and it's completely pivoted away from that, obviously. And the thing that I really found beneficial is particularly since I'm in a winter situation where we're winterized in our van, it's nice to still be able to use the toilet. So we can, keep that inside the house until we're ready to travel, and then, bring it out and not have to worry about it freezing and so forth. So I was thinking about that. And then I was also thinking about, I was reading some of the posts concerning rental, and I was just kind of brainstorming. I'm like, if we ever decide to rent it, we could have the rental toilet and then our toilet.
Very good.
So that kind of crossed my mind too. And there's some other things as well. It's like, just as you said, dealing even with the 5-gallon cassette toilet that's available in the Revel and some of the others, kind of hefting that thing around. Like the 2.5 gallons thing that we have is a bit of a lift, just a little cumbersome. And, of course, obviously when you're manipulating it, you're trying to be careful not to make a mess of things. So, having something twice as large to me doesn't necessarily seem like that much of an advantage. So that's kind of where I've come from, thinking, absolutely, have to have that plumb toilet, fixed toilet. The trouble with that is, though, you're married to whatever that design is. And, of course, as things evolve, perhaps something, in 2-3 years comes available that's far superior to what we have now. And you're like, I'd really love that. But you'd have to renovate your whole van to adapt. Whereas if it's a portable toilet, you can just implement it very easily.
Yeah. No, I agree. Sarah, you kind of disappeared on us and came back, but we were talking about toilets, obviously. Do you have any reservations since you're about to pick yours up about the toilet situation?
That was kind of always the thing. So the last van I tried out was I always thought I wanted a Westphalia, like a vintage Westphalia. And then after camping in Joshua Tree in the snow, I learned I do not want a vintage Westphalia because it has no insulation. And so then I started thinking, okay, I want a Sprinter build out. I want a toilet, especially during the pandemic, when you don't necessarily want to always be using a public restroom. So what convinced me is what sold me finally is I have a friend who has the mode, the basic model. And so he brought it down one day and kind of.
Can I ask who that is?
Matt, my friend Matt here in the Bay Area.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he brought it down.
I thought I might know him.
He brought it down one day. He's in the Facebook group, and kind of walked me through it all. And I was definitely of the same mind. I thought I wanted like an indoor toilet, right, for privacy. And he kind of walked me through it. And he's like, it's not that big of a deal. And then just talking, it came down to that. It came down to quality between that and the Revel. The Revel's so much more expensive, and the build out doesn't seem to be as high quality. I did a bunch of investigating about maybe building something myself or having something built. And while I don't have a lot of money, I have more money than time. So decided I would buy something pre-built, and the Storytellers just seem so rock solid, that was kind of what sold me. And it's good enough. I don't think it's perfect, but I don't want to lose space. I backpack, so I'm not squeamish about bathroom stuff. So I think it's going to be good enough for us. And it's got a lot of other pluses that outweigh any of the downside on the toilet.
Yeah, no, I agree. So to switch topics a little bit, Keith, you mentioned that you might be looking at something else other than Storyteller just because of the weight. So what exactly are you looking at? And the bigger question is, if you compromise, will you be happy?
No, I won't be happy. If I compromise, no. I was looking at several, and I was just kind of like searching the internet with these smaller outfits that do custom build outs. There's a handful of them. Off the top of my head, I can't remember their names. I know there's a couple in Colorado that I saw. I think there was a few in California, Northern California. I was looking at those, but with those, you don't know what you're gonna get. You don't know what you're gonna get.
Which is there a brand, or is it like custom made, or?
Custom made is what I was thinking.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But from a smaller outfitter,
Yeah.
you're kind of worried about warranty and who you're going to go to if something goes wrong. So.
Yeah, and most of the things, I'm pretty sure, I can fix on my own. I'm pretty handy with my hands. I've got an electronics degree. I worked in the electrical field for close to 20 years on an industrial level. So the repair and maintenance stuff, I pretty much, I think I can handle it. But I rather not deal with that when I'm retired. I rather have something that's gonna move and be supported and serviced and warranted, and we just don't have to worry about it. That's where I want to go. And Storyteller, I'm stuck on that. I'm 100% focused on finding the right used Storyteller at this point.
Well,
What would the right used Storyteller be?
Less than 10,000 miles. I'm hoping that they got an extended warranty. I really don't care which one. I don't want a beast. I don't. I would like the classic or the stealth, one of those two. And I don't need a bunch of mods. But if they already paid for it, I'll be fine to take it with the van. Yeah, I just want to. I don't want to buy somebody else's problems either. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
I definitely don't want a vehicle that somebody rented out already, because at that point you don't know what you're getting.
I thought I saw a lightly used, was it Classic that popped up on the Facebook group a couple days ago?
Yeah,
there was
I don't think I acted quick enough. I think I made contact with them, but by the time I got back with them, it was gone.
there
There
was
was
a
a stealth
Oh.
in Texas.
Go ahead. I was going to say there's a stealth in I think Sanford, Florida that popped up either yesterday or today, but they're asking 189,000.
Yeah,
So
I called the guy who's selling that too. I talked to him. I told him, I said, call me if anything else comes up, but I'm not going to pay 190.
Well, did they have enough mods to justify that price, or was it just a basic
Just
self?
basic.
Yeah.
The one in Houston, it's registered in Montana. It's got Montana plates. The fellow lives in I think Houston or Dallas. I can't remember exactly one. He had a bunch of mods, and I think he wanted right about 185, 187, right around there. But when I called him back, when I was ready to act on it, gone.
yeah, I think you almost have to be ready to act like during the conversation. That's how it was with me and buying the new one. And I wasn't quite ready. In fact, we were thinking about getting something in July of 22 because we were thinking about getting a Moda LT. But when I concluded our conversation, with the dealer, obviously this is new versus used, but that at that moment I said to my better half, and I'm like, hey, I think we should probably move on this because this opportunity to get something sooner than later doesn't come around very often. So the next morning we called them and put deposit and seal the deal, so to speak. And yeah, I think you've got to be ready with everything, and we even had to put some things in place financially at the last minute, but we were fortunately able to do so. And I think Sarah, you said you were calling around everywhere looking for your stealth, and managed to track something down. Yeah, I think to your point, Keith, he's like, don't get off the phone without making a decision.
Yeah, I don't have a problem acting real quick on a new one, but a used one I have to do my due diligence. I mean,
yeah, I understand. It's
quite
different
a chunk
for sure.
of change, and
yeah.
I need a VIN number. I want to search, make sure there's no accidents, and I ask a bunch
Sure.
of questions. And it's a seller's market, so somebody's gonna come and buy it sight unseen,
Yeah.
and send them $5,000 and have them hold it for them. I'm not gonna do that.
Yeah, it's a tough market for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Wendell, so I wanted to ask you, I saw on Instagram that Tim over at Adrenaline Vans pimped out your van, like last month or something like that? I don't know how many people are on Instagram.
It's still
this
in there
group,
being
but
worked on. We get it back next Friday, and it's kind of like
oh yeah,
Frankenstein. Yeah, he's got so much. Jeffrey Hunter wouldn't even recognize us as storytellers.
what,
But,
what did you get done?
oh, you name it, we've done it. We had a wrap put on it, a new stereo system put in it. the heating vent deal, a little extra insulation. Uh, Put 285 tires on it. Put the ski box on the back, and I forgot. It's a laundry list of stuff that he did. A lot of stuff you don't see. I had some more lighting put on. Had the LED lights put underneath it to light up under there. We put the LP9s up as a light bar now with 5 of those, and then also inside he put a component. That makes operating all this electrical stuff a lot easier. And it also reads to an app on your phone and stuff like that. So, yeah, I'm kind of there's worse addictions that you can have than being a mod addict. But, yeah, so, maybe not more expensive, but worse.
Yeah. Kurt, what kind of mods do you got going on?
So we've kind of like put some of the mods on the back burner since I've been having these, couple little issues that I mentioned earlier with inverter and so forth. So until we get that resolved, we're not really pushing forward too many mods. But 2 days after we took delivery, we dropped it off for a Van Compass 4.3 suspension system. So didn't really drove maybe 60 or 70 miles with the stock suspension, and already knew that I wasn't going to be happy with it, and that just was absolute proof that it was not awful to the point that it was completely unworkable. But I'm really sensitive to suspension setup from other vehicles, and the stock suspension was just a no-go for me. So that was the number one thing, and then. Recently added the computer monitor, so we have to do work to pay for this thing. So being able to do that with a large screen and a lot more desktop space makes a big difference. And of course, we can turn it for entertainment as well. It's set up so we can use it in the back work area, and then also from the Groove Lounge, facing the other way, facing backwards, so like lounge mode, facing the back of the van. I've made some curtains. I never sewed before, so I figured out how to make curtains. So I did that. Really just hemmed them. I didn't make them fully. Of course, little things like the cab shelf, that was nice, and then just storage solutions and that sort of thing.
Oh, cool.
I think that's very important. The for you guys waiting for your vans, and you probably maybe already know this, but I would say you've got to get rid of that stock suspension. If there's any mod you do, that's the suspension is number one. And I think even for a safety reason, because you get out there with a side wind or making a lot of hard turns, there's a big difference.
Yeah, funny enough that the day after, or the day that I picked the van up from the shop doing the suspension, the winds were blowing like 35 to 40 miles an hour, and it was like completely doable. It was not like I was fearing for my life. Unlike I've driven like Class C brand new Winnebago that I picked up in. From their factory in Iowa, drove it to where did we go? Las Vegas. You guys probably heard of that town. So we drove across the West and through Iowa, Kansas, etc. The winds were horrific, just absolutely horrific, and just almost out of control. So I knew from that experience that I wanted to have as much control of those situations as possible. And absolutely, the suspension modification has checked that box. It really does a great job.
Is there a reason why you chose the 4.3 Van Compass over the Agile Rip? Is it because of the Fox shocks, or? So
there are a few reasons. I looked at them both pretty closely, and really what it came down to was I'm not really going to use the van much off-road, so having the extra clearance of the lift that you get with the Rip kit wasn't so much of a benefit for me. And I felt like the adjustable shocks were much more of a benefit for just the exact reasons that I was stating. When I looked at doing a adjustable Fox shock with the Rip kit, it was going to be like at least almost $2,000 more by the time it was installed and so forth. So the installers that I found that could do the Agile versus the Van Compass in my area, for some reason, the Van Compass was a little bit more affordable. It was about $400 or $500 less on the install. And then coupled to that, the kit was just a little bit more tailored to what I was going to really do. It seemed to make the most sense.
Interesting. So Sarah, Rich, and Zoe, since you guys are waiting for your storytellers, I'm curious, what do you guys have planned mod-wise?
We feel like we just want to like go hang out with Jason at Canyon Venture Vans. Like,
Right?
One of these, one of those,
like
one
we
of
want
these.
this, we want that, we
Maybe
want
design,
the roof.
design
like,
something new for us.
Yeah.
Probably the suspension too.
Yeah.
He will.
For sure.
Which one?
I mean, the Van Compass is the one we've heard the most about. And I think that actually the van we rented in from Warner was a off-highway van build, and that had 4.3s on it. So definitely, and we drove, from Salt Lake down through Vegas over to Phoenix, and crosswinds were not a problem at all, unlike the ProMaster. And that we just put sumo springs on, so that was a big enhancement there. For that vehicle.
So the one downside that I found about Van Compass when I was out in the middle of nowhere, Nevada for New Year's Eve is that if you don't have the 4.5, which is the automatically adjustable suspension, if you have the 4.3, if you get to a certain point, the shock gets really muddy, and in our case, it literally froze in place. And so people were trying to adjust their shocks, and they couldn't because there was just so much water and mud that it froze. It was literally impossible to, adjust the shock. So that's one thing I learned about the Van Compass. So if you can get the 4.5, then that's my recommendation. But those things are so highly sought after. I mean, good luck.
Yeah, I think they're also impacted by the chip shortage. I mean, that was what we were told. I bought our kit through Freedom Van Go, and at the time they were like, "Yeah, we have the 4.3s. We have no idea when we're getting the 4.5s." And when you interviewed the guys from Van Compass, they seem to echo that. They're like, "Yeah, 4.5 is super sweet, really, really nice to have. Not so easy to get right now."
Yeah, Freedom Van Go would be our preferred builder too. So
they're close.
Yeah, kind of friends with those guys.
Yeah, Grant's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's such a cool guy. I love that dude.
Yeah, actually, go ahead.
I was just going to say,
go ahead, Rich.
You've seen what he did with the Echo that they got. It's probably going to make a lot of people actually want to go buy Echoes now.
Right.
I'm not going to lie. I'm kind of upset when I saw that he picked up an Echo. I was like, seriously?
Yeah. That was our first reaction, too.
An Echo.
Yeah.
But you know what? It opens up kind of the transit market to them. So I think, for those guys, they'll work on transits or sprinters. So I think that, opens up their book of business to more people, is my guess. So.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure it's a smart business move, but obviously I'm a little biased. I think we're all a little biased.
Sure. Actually, I look pretty heavily at the Echo, but for us, we live in an area that the housing association absolutely would, that the parking the Echo at home would be a no-go, from the get-go, whereas we can park the van at home. Nobody seems to mind too much. But, there's no way to disguise that Echo's an RV full on, so that was a problem for us.
We're in the land of HOAs here, too, so.
Yeah. So, Sarah, what kind of mods are you planning to get?
So definitely looking at suspension, and then I'm hearing about is it a pedal box ad to help it be a little faster off the line? I'd love to hear people's thoughts on that.
I got one. I ditched my pedal box and just got the Karma Gear upgrade.
Okay.
And that works a lot better. Pedal box was kind of hit or miss. And price wise, I mean, I think pedal box, $300, and the other one's like, it's around $1,000.
Okay.
But I like that much better. And I live in high altitude and do a lot of, mountain passes and stuff. So I even put a snorkel on to open it up, help it breathe more. And I've kind of got to give my van everything I can to get around here.
Makes sense.
So Wendell, did you drive the van stock much and it was just really disappointing, or what was your findings with that?
Well, actually, when I had the Rebel, we had the Rebel for about 4 months before we punted it, but we were going to put all these mods on it. And then we said, then we started thinking, I want to insulate it more. And then I thought, well, I got to tear the whole thing apart. And this Storyteller product I keep hearing about is kind of built the way we want it. The metal cabinets welded and Havelock wool and all that. So we just sold it. And actually, we made a nice profit on the Rebel. Drove it 18,000 miles for the summer and sold it for $25,000 more than we paid for it.
Wow.
That doesn't happen too often.
No, it
So
doesn't.
then we immediately put our
Oh my
deposit down for
gosh.
the Storyteller and got it 6 months later.
So I have the pedal box, and I have the first generation, and I like it. I thought about upgrading to the Rentec or to the Kerma one, and I just haven't done it because I mean, I don't know. I got a lot of stuff going on, but that's something that I'm interested in. But for the pedal box wise, like it does make a difference because so when I was out doing uh, Beyond the Pavement with the Storyteller Overland course, and with the one that I just did with the New Year's Eve, um, you actually want to turn it off because what will happen, because the way it's designed, it basically just shifts when your RPMs and your gears will shift. It doesn't actually give you more speed. And so it feels like you have more speed because it'll kick in a little bit more um, than
Acceleration
just the
works better.
stock. Yeah, exactly. So that does help, but you have to get to that what is it, 1.5 RPM for it to actually kick in. So what'll end up happening, at least with the pedal box that I found, is that if you're especially like in high altitude, you'll sit there and you'll pound on the gas, like literally put it to the metal to the, what do they call it, the
Pedal
God,
to
the
the
wine's
metal.
kicking in already. Thank you. The pedal to the metal. And then you'll just sit there and you'll just wait for it to rev up. And you're just like, "Rrr," and you're like, oh my God. And then with the pedal box, it'll finally kick in. And then you're like, boom. And then you'll shoot out. And it's kind of crazy. But that's like at high idle. If you're, or excuse me, at high altitude. But if you're at, 5,000 below, it's not that bad. But when I turn it off, I can definitely tell a difference. So, I think it kind of depends. Like if you want to go ahead and spend 1,000 plus and get something that's probably a little bit better, or if you are content with just something under that and saving some money. So that's, but either way, like either way you decide, I think it's going to be better than uh than the stock.
Yeah,
Man, that wine is hitting me.
either one.
So I have some thoughts on that as well, you guys. So I thought right from the gun I was going to have to do Rentec or pedal box or something. I thought, oh, this is going to be awful after reading all the reviews and so forth. And I've actually kept mine stock so far. And granted, I'm not at altitude, so it makes a sizable difference, no doubt. But I've been driving it stock, and it's been certainly not fast, but I haven't felt like I was in danger either. It seems, you know, perfectly functional. And that's even like driving on I-95 and some of the busier, higher speed interstates. And I haven't really ever felt like, oh my God, I can't merge or whatever. So it's been okay for me so far, but I am thinking probably I'll go Rentec at some point in the future. I have a lot of other experience with tuned vehicles, turbocharged vehicles, and I can appreciate the difference that it can make. So that's where I'm leaning rather than doing the pedal box.
So Wendell, I'm curious, like can you give like a summary of like what it was before your Kerma ECU tune versus after, other than the high altitude portion? Is there like I guess what I'm asking is it worth 1,000 plus to get that tune?
Well, I had issues like, I was on a driveway slanted down and you put it in reverse. I couldn't get out. Just
Mm.
the power just wasn't there. And things like that. And then in the altitude now, if I was in West Texas, would I need it? Probably not. The pedal box would be just fine, and probably even stock would be just fine because you're a flatlander. But just where I'm at here in Telluride, it's a kind of a game changer, and I think the altitude is probably the thing that affects that engine the most, and the Kermit just kind of took care of that. So can't explain really how, but it just worked better. I don't have these issues where I'm stuck and can't go up a hill or down a hill from just starting, if that makes sense. So.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. So I don't know if that answers your question, Sarah, but
Yeah, no, it's great to hear everybody's thoughts on it. But yeah, suspension and the acceleration are the two things I've heard the most about. So
I do want to, one thing, driving on a 2-lane road and you've got to pass somebody and pass them pretty quickly, like in a regular car. That's where it made a big difference too. I could actually, now I've got the ability to pass quickly and get around, where I didn't have that with stock or the pedal box. Now, pedal box would help me accelerate more, but when you get into the higher passing gears, that's where I didn't see really where that helped me at all. So
That's a great point, Wendell, because if I'm behind someone on a 2-lane road, I'm just behind them. Not even thinking
and
about
that's the way I
passing.
always was until I got that upgrade. Now, I remember my wife was napping in the passenger seat, and I go, waking her up, go, "Did you see that? I just passed 2 cars," which that never happened before. So.
Putting the sprint into sprinter you are, huh?
Exactly. I thought I'm ready to go drag a vet next.
Yeah, it feels pretty good when I pass some Priuses on the highway. I'm not gonna lie. But yeah, so have you decided what kind of suspension you want to get, Sarah? And that includes Rich and Zoe too. Are you guys leaning one way or the other?
I mean, I don't think I'm going to do a lot of off-road, so I think probably what's will do the job and most economical makes sense probably for me. Just find the right person to do it here in Northern California.
Oh, that would be Owl Vans.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, CA tuned. I don't think Max does suspension. He does his bumper, but I don't think he does suspension.
Okay.
So I would say Owl Vans is probably the closest for you.
Does Al do both Agile and Van Compass, or just Van Compass?
No, yeah, just Van Compass.
Okay. Well, that decides it. Sold.
What about you, Rich and Zoe? Are you guys leaning for suspension at all?
We probably will, yeah. But like I said, we'll probably work with Freedom Van, go and find out, what do they got, what's in stock. We're doing a lot more stuff. I mean, not as much kind of off-road in the mountains, really, or probably won't be. But we need to be set for that. But we also need to be prepared to go somewhere off-road with it.
Yeah.
But we'll be doing a lot of on-road driving, and the events we travel to. Although we're going to be doing some stuff out west, but we've been mainly kind of East Coast, Florida things we go to. So we typically will use. I mean, today we use our van to go to these different RV rallies and off-road overland events, some Jeep events like that. So we actually pull a small trailer with all our products and merchandise and all that kind of stuff. So we'll do the same thing. At least that's our plan with the Storyteller. But it'll take us more places, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't have a four-wheel drive trailer, so we're not going off-road with it. We'll have to park somewhere and then. Although we've seen some pretty cool trailers.
Yeah, we have.
Some of these, especially the overland shows.
Yeah, for sure. The overland shows is a place to go to see all kinds of trick off-road stuff, for sure. In fact, I think I came across you guys' product when I was at Overland Expo East. I already had the barbecue, the folding tool that you have for cooking. And in fact, I had the pleasure of demoing that to this guy named Jeffrey Hunter and this other guy named Joe Russo. I don't know if you guys have heard of him, but I was showing them how that thing worked, because we're super pleased with it, and it actually fits perfectly in the drawer with the cooktop. So I don't know if you've seen that yet, but that thing just is like made for it. So it's really nice.
Yeah, we haven't done all the measurements yet.
Yeah.
We did check our insulated French press inside the cup holder, so it's good fit there. So. Yeah, Jeffrey Hunter.
Oh, it does fit. That was my number one question.
Yeah. Jeffrey's a pretty good customer of ours, so we've seen him at a couple shows. So.
Yeah.
Spreading love around the community.
Oh, which, by the way, Rich and Zoe, thank you so much. I forgot. I wanted to say in the beginning, but I forgot. You guys are the owners of Defiance Tools, and you guys gave the community a 20% discount. So, thank you very much for supporting the community and doing awesome stuff. So
thank you.
Yeah.
We're glad to be part of it.
Yeah. And then Keith, I just want to let you know that even though you may not get a Storyteller, you're welcome to the meetups. So but Yeah, and Wendell, I wanted to just kind of highlight, if you're okay with it. I probably should have pinged you before we started recording, but you're
I've had
holding a
enough
meetup.
kombucha. Just hit me up.
All right. You're hosting a meetup in mid-May.
Yeah,
Do
yeah.
you want to talk about it?
Yeah, my family has a ranch down in Valverde County, Texas, on the Devil's River. It's about 28 miles north of the Rio Grande Mexican border. Nearest town is Del Rio, Texas. And the thing is, I do kind of have a limit of how many people we can kind of host down there, but we've got plenty of room if anybody wants to come. But it's going to be May 12th through the 15th, Thursday through Sunday. We've got Jason lined up for a concert, and we're going to do a barbecue dinner one night, and we're still working on what we're going to do, maybe a lasagna dinner or something for the second night, but we're going to provide 2 meals. Devil's River, we can do kayaking, tubing, fishing, both reel and fly, and hiking. Bring your mountain bikes and stuff. Plenty of places back in the Dry Devils Canyon to go riding around. Just that kind of thing. Just kind of a hang out and play around. So
What were the dates again, Wendell?
Yeah.
it's May May 12th through the 15th, and we've got a thread going. And tell you what, we can stick y'all's names on it so you can kind of see what it's all about. But probably I'll probably get the hard head count first part of March, and then start sending out all the stuff, all the information on how to get down there, because it's a white spot on the map. Once you turn off the highway, it's 18 miles back, just on county roads and just private ranch roads. A lot of gates to unlock and stuff like that. But we'll have it all set up for that weekend. So
Sounds like tons
That's
of
awesome.
fun. I can't wait.
How far from there to Flagstaff?
well, that's funny because everybody's got to go to Flagstaff the next
Right.
weekend. So you got a week to get there. But Flagstaff is, I think, when I just Google mapped it, 850 miles
Okay.
or something like that.
That's
Yeah.
nothing.
We got to go from Orlando. So
Nothing for van people.
Texas is on the way.
Yeah,
Or
that's
could
right.
be.
And also, it's kind of nice to, as if you're coming down there, you could explore around Big Bend National Park, which isn't too far away. Some of our West Texas towns like Marfa, Marathon, Fort Davis, things like that. So a lot of cool
Yeah.
things to see that you don't see otherwise. So
Yeah. If you guys go down to Big Bend, let me know, because that's one of my favorite national parks. And oh, by the way, did you know that Big Bend, out of all the national parks in the U.S., is the least visited?
and it's
I didn't know
still
that.
busy.
I know, right?
Yeah.
But that's one of my favorite places. So I'm sure Wendell and I could give you guys some tips if you guys want to go visit.
Santa Elena Canyon's definitely worth seeing and hiking through. So
Oh yeah, and I heard I haven't been to the state park, Big Bend State Park. Have you been there, Wendell?
I
How's
have.
that?
It's kind of the same. It doesn't have the big features, but it's a neat place to go to. So nice to meet you, Sarah.
Sarah's got to.
All right.
Oh yeah, Sarah had to go. She's working because we're all in different time zones. But okay,
Yeah.
bye, Sarah. But yeah, no. Big Bend State Park is on the to-do list. So, are you guys gonna try to go, Rich and Zoe and Kurt?
We got to go to Flagstaff.
So,
We just leave a little earlier.
Yeah.
yeah, I mean,
Well, if you pass through Austin, let me know.
all the Western stuff is just a big question mark for us right now, because we're just waiting to see how this all plays out with resolving our issues, and
You
from
have
there
any
then we'll make some
timing?
plans.
Like, do you have any idea?
Yeah, for sure we do. But I'm also thinking about doing a trip up into Ontario and Newfoundland, that part of the world. Because although I lived in Maine for a period of time, I never actually made it up to Prince Edward Island and that area. So I want to go check that out. So that is a little bit higher priority than heading out west. Although we had a Western trip planned just prior to this, we were going to come out and hang out with my sister in Colorado, visit my mom, and unfortunately just couldn't quite put that together. But I was deep into the planning phases, and actually we're looking at hitting Big Bang on the way back home from that trip. So it's on the horizon, but I'm not sure of the dates yet.
Yeah, we're currently planning.
Gotcha.
So we have Overland West on the schedule. Then we're looking at probably 3 adventure van expos, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think. And then Overland Pacific Northwest.
So we should potentially will be on the road for like 3.5 months this summer. So
Yeah, so we're gonna probably do adventure van in Placerville, adventure van in Hood River. Then Pacific Northwest is Redmond, then Eagle, Colorado is adventure van, and then strangely enough, we're gonna go do an Airstream show in Freiburg, Maine. But the Airstream people are
they're fun.
They're really cool people.
Yeah.
It's an interesting crowd for sure.
My parents had an Airstream.
1,000 Airstreams. It's kind of nothing like it's kind of an interesting site. So
yeah, for sure. And I think your products, would be well received there as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did their show. They had one outside of Nashville, so that was a really good event for us back in the same time, May last year.
Mm-hmm.
So I gotta ask Keith, are you gonna fly out? You're kind of isolated out there in Hawaii, even though I'm really jelly that you're out there. But are you gonna fly out to any of these meetups just to hang out?
Probably the first reason why I would fly out would probably be to go to one of the RV shows. I definitely would fly out for that. And then I'm looking at picking up a contract job that will require me to go out to Western Pennsylvania for about 6 months. So so I'm hoping I land that.
How long have you been in Hawaii?
I was actually born in Minnesota. I was in and out of Hawaii several times from my childhood up through my adulthood, and then I joined the Army for a little while, and then I've been here 28 years at my location where I was working. I just retired about a year and a half ago, so about 30 years.
Wow!
But I've been back and forth stateside so many times.
What part of Western Pennsylvania?
There is it starts with an M. Manaka? Is that it? It's right on the river.
Sounds familiar, yeah.
They have a deethylene plant over there, natural gas, and they're getting the ethane out of the ground. So brand new plant, huge plant. That's why I'm trying to land a contract job, just temporary.
Yeah, I grew up.
You don't come down to Texas?
I have
at all?
a friend who lives in Texas. I visited him several years ago, but I haven't been there for a while.
Sorry, Kurt, I didn't mean to cut you off there.
No, you're fine. I was just going to say to Keith that Western Pennsylvania's got a lot of great things to see as well, and they've got some state forest lands that do have free camping. You have to apply for a permit, but it's some great places to tool around and enjoy with the band. Been making a lot of trips up into Pennsylvania this past year, so that's something that I think you'd probably enjoy yourself.
I'm hoping by landing the job there will create a better opportunity for me to get a van. I'll be closer to where all the vans are sold. So right now, there's nothing out here.
Well, the dealer that I happened to call, as I said, somewhat randomly, was Fret's RV. They're just outside of Philly, so not super close to Western Pennsylvania, but not as far as Hawaii. They happened to get like a late allocation of 21s that they weren't expecting. So we didn't jump ahead of, see if I can speak. I should probably have some more to drink. No, we didn't jump ahead in line of anyone, to my knowledge. They just had like 10 units come available in late in the year. So that they weren't expecting. I happened to be on the call with them at the right time, and bam. So I don't know if you'd be so lucky, but fingers crossed, maybe something like this will come through for you.
I'm hoping, if not a new one in our time frame, hopefully I get a used one that works out for me.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, I have this weird little saying that if you have pure intentions, the universe will conspire for you.
I totally believe in that too. The good old karma.
Mm-hmm.
Well, so I know time is kind of I don't want to say of the essence, but I don't want to take up too much of your guys' evening because you guys are all volunteering on coming here. But if there's anything that you guys else, if there's any, man, that wine
What
here,
kind of wine are you drinking?
I've been, so, this this comes from Trader Joe's. It's actually sulfite free, and it's literally $6 a
Oh, love
bottle.
that.
So it does it does the job. I can literally drink twice as much without the hangover because it doesn't have
Yeah.
sulfites in there. So before we started recording, I was telling the other guys that the sulfites is actually what causes the hangover. A lot of people don't know that. And anyway, so if you, it's not necessarily organic per se, it's the low sulfite count. So if you can find a wine that is, low sulfites
It
or
also, without the
sulfited.
sulfites, I think it makes the wine taste better. I went to South America and we went down to some of the Malbec places and I was taking pictures of labels. But when I found it, and I mean, I loved the taste of it right there at the vineyards. But when I got back to the States and started going to my wine stores and pulling it, they put the sulfites in it when they ship it over. Big difference. It didn't taste as good. So
Yeah, exactly. So I guess on my baller budget, I just go to Trader Joe's and get the $6 bottle of wine, but it does the trick. So obviously, as you guys can hear and see, but anyways, I didn't know if there's anything else that you guys wanted to talk about. So we can kind of start concluding a little bit.
Sure.
Did any all that don't have that don't I was going to say, do any all that don't have fans at this point have any questions for those of us that do?
I don't know. I feel like we've been stalking van owners and seeing vans at least shows long enough that we probably know. I'm sure we know more about them than our dealer will or does. That's kind of just industry standard. And we today with our Travato, it's the same thing. Anybody that sees us, we're like giving tours. I think Winnebago owes us a bunch of commissions on selling their vans. So kind of the same thing.
and sometimes like Keith going to the RV shows and stuff, you'll see stuff in the parking lot for sale.
Yeah.
But, so
That-
that's a good idea when you said you want to go to some of those shows because there's always a lot of merchandise for sale out there that I don't usually see on RV Trade.
Yeah, that was one of my.
Yeah, the van expo, especially.
I watched a handful of YouTube videos, and it seems like people that go to these shows are able to land a sale at the show. So I'm hoping something works out. We'll see. We'll see how it all works out.
I know at Adventure Van Expo, Neil, the coordinator for that, he has a section of the layout where people actually pay to try to sell their van at the expo, and I think depending on the location, obviously varies the attendance, but I want to say there's probably at least like 6 vans out there minimum every show where people are trying to sell their vans. So it might be beneficial to just go to one of the bigger adventure van expos and see what
That's
they got.
part of my plan this first part of the year, to go to at least one of those expos.
I think he's got like 7 this year, right? 6 or 7. More, 1 or 2 more than last year. So.
Oh, the events, yeah, I think so too.
You can see it on their Instagram.
Those are always
fun. You can see all the dates and the locations are on their Instagram, right in their bio, so it's easy to see.
I think it's on your website too, right, Young Wall?
Yeah, I just built the event site, so I have all the Adventure Van expos on there, and then I have like all these other expos out there, and then whatever community hosted events obviously are going to be on there. So yeah,
that's the tool I'm using. I'm using your website.
And Keith,
well, thank you.
I saw a nice van. Like I said, it's the Mercedes Sprinter 170 chassis, but it was really loaded out, 16,000 miles on it, and it's a guy from Silt, Colorado. And if you go to RV Trader and just search Silt, just SILT, it's the only one that pops up. But it was a really nice deal, and I think the price is right. He's selling it for $145.
That's on the 170 chassis, though.
But it's on the 170, so it's a little bit longer. So, but just everything he had in it, I thought, man, that's a great price.
I'll look it up as soon as we're done. Thank you.
Okay.
If not, I have a proposition in the chat pane if you want to look at the chat pane.
All right. Well, I think this concludes the very first happy hour. I don't know about you guys, but I have the Asian flush going on, so you know that I got a little something going on. I know Keith is lit over there.
Yeah.
But I appreciate you guys coming on, and I look forward to seeing you guys all in person, to include you, Keith. Like I said, you're still a storyteller family in spirit, even if you don't get a
Very good.
storyteller. So.
Thank you.
But we're crossing
Yeah,
our
Yeah, we're all
fingers
hoping for
It's
you.
going to happen.
Yeah.
So don't worry.
It's
Yeah.
going to work out.
Yeah.
Well, now that we know that you have a need, Keith, we're going to
We'll
try to do our
watch.
best
Yeah,
to try
yeah.
to fix you up.
Yeah.
We're going to try to
Yeah.
fix you up with somebody, man.
We'll be tagging.
Stonation is a production of Park Media. The executive producer is Younghwa Kim. The audio engineer is
Stephen Grasso.
The marketing director is
Guillaume, Golsong.
The original music and artists is done by
Jason Walsmith.
The sound designer is
Lorenzo Interiano.
and the webmaster is
Puncture.
Without any of these people, this podcast couldn't happen, so a big, huge thank you. And a big, huge thank you to you, the listener. If you like this episode, please don't forget to subscribe, share, and leave a 5-star review. This is Younghwa with Stonation, and I can't wait to share the road with you.